Madam Secretary, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Heisel?
Here.
Mr. Toure?
Here.
Mrs. Stockton?
Here.
And Mr. Brown.
Here.
Secretary's aye. Here.
Okay. Let us please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I should start doing what I actually should do. I should salute the flag, being a retired military man.
This meeting is now open for public comments, and I would start, I have a few up here. I would start with, is that Jan Goodman regarding Monee Education Center. And I just would like to reiterate, it's the board practice not to get into any type of debating regarding public comments, but we may ask for clarification if need be. Thank you.
Mr. Toure also approached Superintendent Cunningham about it, and that figure is just, again, we were told something that they can't come up with. And I don't really understand that from an accounting standpoint. I am an accountant. You can put a figure on what it costs per student. And general ed students are, I want to say, around $11.5 per student to educate. So we're not really sure why we can't find out what it costs to educate a kid from the education center. We think with our lack of expulsion and the amount of kids who are over there, if we're paying out the nose to educate these kids that are doing what they're supposed to be doing, we need to address that. Maybe Mike Terry can help with that.
Yeah, I'll answer a little bit. Yes, I did talk to Dr. Cunningham, or Mr. Cunningham, soon to be Dr. Cunningham, sitting next to me. And those figures are not available, but they're working on getting the figures. I asked for the figures for every school that we operate, so that we know exactly what the cost is for each school and if they're being efficiently run, and what the actual cost is: busing, food service, staff, maintenance, keeping a building open, et cetera, et cetera. And they promised me they are working on that, and as soon as we get that information, I'll release it to you.
Mr. Cunningham, if we could, for clarification, let's not just let's make a broad announcement about the cost of the figures. It's not just to individuals, but to everyone who may be interested in that particular school in general. Let's make that a broad announcement for everyone, even if it needs to be posted on the website.
We'll take care of that. Tonight we have a short order report that gives some of the information about the MEC. That'll happen tonight. There were some specifics that were asked for that the district just didn't keep, so we couldn't give everything that was requested. But we do have information that we're glad to release tonight to everyone at this public meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Our next person with a public comment, we have Tammy Burnham regarding the new administrators and personnel.
It's come to my attention that we have several administrators and department heads in our school district that don't have the proper credentials to do their jobs. That's one thing I wanted to address tonight. Are we doing anything to follow up on that?
There is no administrator who is not properly credentialed in the district. That is a rumor. It is not true.
It's a rumor?
Yes.
So all department heads are able to evaluate teaching staff?
That's not what you said, ma'am. You said that they were not properly credentialed.
Correct.
Properly credentialed by the state of Illinois. Every administrator is. Please don't continue the rumor. They are.
So
I'm not going to go through each one. I answered your question. If you have another one, please come see me and we can go through it.
That would be great. I want to talk about what happened with Principal Dugan. I think it's embarrassing. We didn't even receive his resignation formally, and we posted his job for hire. That man has put his hard work, sweat, and tears into this district. He didn't deserve that. He had his staff and students love him and respect him. Principal Franklin doing his notice a week before school starts, with Assistant Principal McCray right on his heels, speaks volumes for the level of respect they have for this board. We've lost qualified teachers and administrators due to the hostile work environment that's been created. I implore you to choose qualified administrators and educators. This school district is collapsing. It has been for months. And as a taxpayer of this district, I deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown, may I speak?
Sure.
Two things. Every board member here at least has to be a taxpayer right alongside you, Mrs. Burnham. I've been a taxpayer in this community for many years. More importantly, as a board member, I can honestly say and fervently say no person forced any individual to go and make the choices in their life that they make. I'm sorry that you feel the district is collapsing. I do go around to this. That's your opinion and the opinion of some that may share that with you. Unfortunately, what we need to understand is we live in a democratic society, and the society at large, and this is a large school district, they don't agree that the school district is collapsing. They're happy about the changes and the commitment to see improvement happening in our school district. I, for one, am excited to no end. It is, change is difficult, it's challenging, but it's not my opinion, it's the opinion of others as well, that we are making progress to improve our school district as a whole, not for some or a few, but bridging the gaps to make it better for all people, all communities, everywhere within this school district. So again, I'm very sorry that you feel that the school district is collapsing, and I know I've had many times to dialogue with you, so we're going to agree to disagree on that point. But the fact of the matter is, when you ask questions like, and of course, unfortunately, we can't discuss personnel issues or why any individual does whatever, but many of the facts that you stated with relationship to a personnel matter, it again is rumor. I've read it on Facebook and all of those social media outlets that people are spreading gossip and innuendo. It's not true. Can we please make sure we have the facts before we cloud everyone's judgment with inaccurate information? Accuracy, it may hurt sometimes, but at least let's stay accurate. And I'm not making a judgment towards you. I'm saying there's been much conversation and discussion that is not, once it goes from person to person, it's not speaking volumes in the area of accuracy. So I wish we would get to the truth and the root of the matter. And the root of the matter is, it can't be what I like, what you like, or 5 or 6 individuals like. It has to be the best thing that we can do collectively and cohesively as a board for all the kids in 201U, not just a few.
Respectfully, if this board doesn't...
Please, we're not. Please, ma'am.
We have a problem.
Please. Please, no. We will, public comments, please, just public comments. If you had something to say, please. I wish we'd just take our boxing gloves off and try to get along with one another. Okay, the next public comment we have is that all? Thank you. The next public comment we have is that of Mr. Matthew Warren. It's regarding the status of the July consent decree questions.
Good evening.
Good evening.
On the third Saturday of June of this year, about a dozen citizens and 5 elected officials met together at the Crete Library to basically discuss a set of questions to be submitted to the school's legal counsel regarding the now 20-plus-year-old consent decree. This created the opportunity to dispel the widely held belief and arguably unfounded idea that the school board in the district is not forthcoming on this particular topic, even though it stands long past now. My question today, and it's very brief, is I'd like to have an update on those questions and what is their disposition.
I can give you an update. Received some information today from our attorney, and our attorney basically advised the school board not to release the information. That's about the best I can tell you on that without going into complete detail. So we will see.
So we have clarification, Mr. Teray. The attorney did not say that we shouldn't have, in an email, he did not state that we shouldn't have the information released. What he stated was that we need to come together collectively as a board. The board has not determined that as a 7-member board, if one individual board member and a group of constituents have decided that they want that, again, I'm going to say to you that I need to hear from a group of constituents saying that's something that we need to do. But with that said, the attorney specifically said we need to come together as a board and decide if that is the direction that we wish to go. We have not come together. We have had no meeting to discuss that, and that was the last email as of this afternoon with our attorney. So it's no time in between to have that discussion.
Let me clarify. Let me clarify that, okay? I will clarify this. Okay?
We're not here.
We did meet
Excuse me,
together.
Mike. Excuse me, sir.
We did meet together.
Excuse
Wait a
me,
minute,
Mike.
I'm speaking.
No, I'm running this board meeting. Okay, we're not here to debate. We're not here to debate.
I will
all this
clarify.
matter.
I will clarify
There's
that.
not a clarification on
that
that. We're
response.
not here to talk about that. Mr. Warren,
Just
once
a
we get
minute.
together, we will
May
get
I
back and
hear
get an
my
answer.
elected representative talk to me?
Mr. Warren, you presented your comment. I said we would come together as a board and we will come out with an answer for you regarding your question.
So the
We're not at
second
liberty
part of the
to.
answer is that you will come together as a board of 7 and provide us with an answer for those questions.
We will provide you with an answer on how we will address those questions. Either answer those questions or however we choose as a board, okay?
And
And we
very
will do
good.
that.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Can we have order in the public sector, please?
I need to address.
No,
that.
we're not going back and forth. This is public comments. I'm sorry, Mr. Teray, right now, at this point,
All right.
we're going on with the public
Anybody
comments.
that's interested in talking about this, I will meet with you, and I will give you the information that I have received.
Okay, the next public comment we have will not be stated by the person who submitted this comment, but we will get an answer to this person electronically, and that is, if I'm pronouncing it right, Debbie, is it Casper is it with an S. And the question was, why was freshman day canceled, which was 8/19 of 2014, and no one was notified? The day on 8/18 for new students, freshmen, was complete chaos. Okay, Ms. Casper, if that's an adult, I believe it may be, someone will get back to you electronically to address that issue. The next public comment we have is that from Carol Millsap, and that is Board of Education goals for 2014-2015.
My question is, or what are some of the short-term and some of the long-term goals that the Board of Education has for this new school year? with many of the teachers that have left recently in administration, it's very important to have the most qualified teachers, not only to keep them here, to bring them here for test scores, to raise the test scores of our kids, to create a relationship. So I'm just wondering about your goals for this school year.
Okay. Yeah, Carol, we'll get back to you with specific, but our goals as a board has not changed as far as going on our policy, board, on the board policies and looking at our goals specifically. And if you look at our mission to ensure that every child is challenged to reach his or her full potential academically, socially, and emotionally in partnership with our learning community. And our goals are filtered from that. So, but Mr. Cunningham assured us that he will just align our immediate goals for this year with what we expect of him.
That would be
and
great,
share.
just with the amount of teachers that have left
Sure.
in administrations, and some of the reasons why we definitely know why they left, and not based upon rumor, but actual conversations. So it would be great. So is it via email that I'm going to know? Because every time I check off the email, I don't really get a response back. So is it by email that you'll get back to me, or is it, how will it,
How would you want it? Would you want it?
how I checked it off on the paper?
Okay.
Via
Email? Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. And I do want to say, Carol, thank you for being just a true person out there in the public that means well for the district, and I really appreciate your hard and diligent work representing the community. That's coming from me to you. Okay, the next person, is this David Sevier? Okay, David Sevier, regarding consent decree.
Board, residents, I just wanted to say that I think it's a shame that we're taking money away from the students to talk about a consent decree that's been around for many years, that the majority of the people already know what that consent decree talks about and demands. No matter how many times you meet about that consent decree, it is not going to change. Regardless of the fact that certain people don't like it, that the consent decree is in place, it's been in place. No matter how many times you meet, it's not going to change what the court stated. In regards to changes in the district, I'm proud that this board came together and made some changes in this district. For years we've heard people say, well, the district is bad, but nobody want to talk about the test scores that's going on. Nobody want to talk about the fact that the high school was already on the watch list before some of you all even got up in there. Change is difficult, but sometimes change is good. You make it for two reasons. One, because it's not working, or two, you want to improve on it. People need to give you all an opportunity and allow this district to move in the direction that it needs to move in. Obviously, what we had wasn't working, because if it was, the scores would have changed. Since they did not change, maybe it was time for a change to make a difference. So maybe if they come together and give you all an opportunity, particularly a new administration, and allow it to work. Change doesn't happen overnight, as I'm sure they are aware of it, but change is sometimes good. So I wish you all the best of hope. I hope you don't get discouraged from some of the comments that you're hearing tonight. They hired you for a reason, because you're qualified to do the job. Put forth your best effort and move this district in the right direction. Thank you.
Appreciate the comment. Thank you, Mr. Sevier. Okay, this will be our last. Can we have some order, please? Can we have some order, please? Order. Thank you. Thank you. Let's just keep this order. This is a business meeting. We're trying to get through this meeting, so we appreciate if everybody can maintain some level of composure. And this will be our last public comment, and it's from Cynthia Hudson. And she says, I want to thank the superintendent, his lovely wife, she didn't say lovely, but his wife, Mr. and Mrs. Cunningham, and the board for, okay, sorry, Cynthia. That's all right. Oh, all right. Coming outside to the family fling. The coming night, just didn't quite get there. Okay, would you like to elaborate more?
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Superintendent and viewing members. Again, my name is Cynthia Hudson, and I just want to really thank the superintendent, Mr. Cunningham, and his lovely, beautiful wife for coming out and supporting us and letting our community meet you. And that was my second or third time meeting you guys, and each time I had a very warm reception from you all, and I welcome you into the district as into our 201U family. And when you came into the family, you came right in as family. Anything that was going on, you jumped right in. You know, there was a situation that I'm not going to speak on, you know, but that happened, and you and your wife was right there, you know, and as if it was your own family. So I appreciate you all for that. And I believe going forward, I see nothing but good things coming from you as well as the rest of the board. I saw a lot of support from the board with that same situation. I mean, you couldn't have asked for anything better. I'm like, if something was going on with me, got my family around to support, and that's what we need. And, you know, speaking on, I just want to make another quick comment. With Mr. Sevier talking about this dissent decree, I think we need to, everybody just need to step back and get away from themselves and start thinking about what is best for all of our children. And that's the children from University Park, Park Forest, Monee, and Crete. We have 4 communities. And we all need to come together as one family and think of what's best for everyone involved, not just a few select people. I don't want this group saying, well, this is what I want for us, and this group saying, this is what I want for us. I want us all to come together and say, this is what we need for our children. So, thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia and Ms. Hudson, and you did hit the nail on the head. We have to. It's not, if we want to or not, we have to come together as a community, all nationalities, ethnic groups, and just come together and let's make it happen. It's our kids that's been hindered in some capacity or another. So. I actually closed public comments. You promise you're not gonna beat me up? Yeah, why don't you fill out a form so we can keep the proper protocol? Just
I've never been here before.
Okay, can we get her a form? Okay, I didn't bring my bulletproof vest. Okay. So you can speak as you fill it out, if you can multitask.
Well, my name is Katrina Seifert, and I have a son at Crete Elementary ELC, okay? And I've heard lots of rumors about these meetings, okay? And
So
I think
far, is it true?
Yes, unfortunately. I see there's a lot of passion, okay,
Yes.
on both sides, which I think is excellent, okay? I went to Rich Central High School, which is now a mess, okay? I don't want my child to be going to a school like that. So I would like to see, I just saw the amount of disrespect coming back and forth and between the board to other people, and then, I mean, I just thought it was a little sad. I think that we're all acting a little childlike, okay? And I'm fresh, I'm brand new, okay? I just heard all these things, and I'm gonna do my own research and look into, but I think that we all kind of need to start working together and making this a little bit more professional, okay? That's all I have to say. I was just
Did you write that down?
embarrassed.
You can short, write that. Okay, and get it to me. Thank you, thank you. Alrighty, so that concludes our public comments, and we do have the one action item to get back. We got that, Mr. Cunningham, the one email from Debbie Casper, and we will follow up with the consent decree as far as the questions are concerned in some manner. And as far as the board goes for 2014-2015 as relating to the district. Okay, moving along with the agenda. Board updates. Do we have any board updates?
Actually, just the one.
This is
Ms.
closed.
Spencer?
Did you just, oh, this is not.
And so just one update. We did confirm at least that our superintendent workshop, so in conjunction with individuals or anyone who's interested in the process that we take to make our mission statements and our vision statements, and of course, with new administration and especially a new superintendent, we have to come together and express those goals, our individual as well as those of the superintendent, and collaborate. So at last I checked this afternoon, 6 of us are convening on the 5th and 6th of September in a board workshop with the superintendent and outside consultant or Illinois State Board. I'm sorry? Hello, hello. Okay, sorry. I just said that we are going to collaborate in response a little bit, Carol, to your question about how do we come up with the goals. So we do have board workshops, and we are convening again. We've had board workshops in the past with the superintendent, as well as board workshops for the board as a whole to come up with the mission and the vision statements that you inquired about. In addition to that process, I just said that on September 5th and 6th, we're going to meet with the new superintendent to discuss exactly that. I'm sure he will bring to us those issues or concerns, rather, of the staff and any staff that he has discussed, what their expectations and needs are in order that we all collectively and cohesively gel together to make this, as everyone has said, a better school district. At the end of the day, that's what the name of the game is, a better school district for all. So that is happening on the 5th and the 6th of September. I don't know yet if we're going to be on site or not, but typically this gentleman comes in. We've met with them several times as individual, I shouldn't say individual board members, but collectively as a board and our former superintendent. So it's been a process at least as long as I've been here, and I'm sure perhaps Tom could speak to what's happened in the past, but that is concurrently going on as has been in the past. Oh, okay. Well, I'll say finally, I don't see, well, many of you, I'm looking at some of your faces, had expressed other concerns concerning board policy. We've worked diligently prior to Mr. Superintendent Cunningham coming. As you know, we had to tweak for clarity's sake, the board policy concerning cell phones, and we're continuing. That dialogue sparked a desire to go back in general and just review all of the policies. Thank you. All of the policies, and there are many. I received a book and had books at my house, but the policy is a yay so high. So I met along with other board members just to express that we want to really dig deeply into the policy. Not so that, I think a lady was here some months ago inquiring about the accuracy of it and making the statement that it wasn't accurate. I think it's important that the policy read in layman's terms for everyday common parents, moms and dads, so that they can set the expectations for their kids and know what is required. I think I even reiterated right in this room that I don't sign the policy handbook until I physically walk through it step by step with my kids so that they understand it. Even though I've been pressured in the past to ensure to sign the book, I don't operate that way. So this time I'm hoping that we have reference points with policy. So you remember there was discrepancy or believed discrepancy about handbook versus the board policy, which we all know the board policy supersedes any handbook within the school district. But now there is reference from the board policy to the handbook, and we are continuing to make this process as smooth and as crisp and transparent, for all people to review. So that's coming. It's a process. We've come up with a process that is going to be very good, I believe, for the public. It's called a policy review process, and it's going to consist of first reads, a review, first read, and second read. During the first read process, it will give you the very opportunity, the public, to actually hear the policies that are being considered. We will hear as a board simultaneous to you what is being asked to be reviewed. Some policies are outdated. We work with a group with the Illinois State Board of Education that presents policies through Press Plus, and they require us to set policies regardless to our desire one way or the other. So that's law. But there are policies such as the cell phone policy, if you will, or anything relating to technology. It's a changing world. So if the high school deems or any other school deems that something needs to be looked at or reviewed, just because it was a policy in 2000, maybe it's not as relevant, or we have improved and we can do something different. That's where the review of it is, the conversation. And I would encourage you, as I would as a parent, if I have a concern or something about the policy as you see it, to have the discussion with your building administrator, and I'm sure that they will communicate the information to our superintendent, and that's where we have the open dialogue for everyone to say, I like it, I don't like it, but we still got to come to a medium place and decide all together what's good for the whole district. So that's going to happen quarterly, and again, we'll still have our regular policy meetings, which are open to the public meetings, but this process will be right before you, probably around this time, board updates, where we will review the policies right in this room. You'll hear about what's being presented, can come back, maybe not at this meeting, but can come back subsequently at the subcommittee meetings and say, here's what I think, etc. So that is going to be announced, posted as usual as far as subcommittee meetings, but expect to come to this room and hear about policy reviews in a quarterly basis. And I think we were going to change the wording, not so much quarterly for business purposes, but the first reading and again the second reading. There's ample opportunity, is what I'm trying to say, for our community, us as a board, to again review the process, and you have access to touch it, feel it, and know what it's going to be before your representative actually signs on to the process.
Thank you for that review, and we will have a presentation on that in September so that we're very clear and everybody understands it. But thank you.
We haven't firmed up a date yet, have we?
No, sir.
Okay. All righty. Any further board updates? Okay, if not, thank you, Secretary Sanders. We're moving right along to the administrative updates, starting with our curriculum.
In June, the board asked administration to meet over the summer and develop a comprehensive plan to communicate with our non-English speaking families. And we did meet in early July to discuss our needs and develop that plan. And then I brought the plan to the Education Committee at the end of July, and we went through it. And at that time, the committee members asked that I bring it to the board this month. So when we met, we basically looked at three categories of topics, or three topics. One was documents, the board documents, school documents, district documents. We looked at agendas, postings, public comment forms, board policies, registration forms. What we categorize as priority documents, those are what we would consider important things that need to get out to the public. Health-related matters, safety, emergency school closings, academics, fees, major school events that we know are taking place, and our handbooks. And then we also looked at other things that schools could request to be translated for those families. And we talked about developing a process so that teachers and schools could then request translated documents. The other category that we looked at were communication tools that the district has in place. We have our website, which does translate via Google Translate, and that's available on the left-hand side of the front page of the website. Our school messenger does translate, and we do send messages out currently in Spanish. And we're looking into our Skylert, which is an email messaging system that we had to see if it can translate. And we also know that Skyward Family Access can be manually translated, so we will be working on that. And then the third category that we looked at was just the availability of translators. How many people do we have? What's their skill level? What's our capacity in terms of using our ELL staff who service students? What's the capacity beyond servicing students to address the translation needs that we have? So out of that conversation, we put together a tentative timeline for implementing all of these activities. And basically for the months of July and August, we wanted to get our registration documents translated, which to date 14 of them are done. We wanted to translate the board public comment form, which if you took one, you noticed tonight on the backside it is translated. And then we're also working on our Skylert to see if it's available to be translated. And then at the end of this month and working into September, we are going to look at the concentration of our ELL families, find out which buildings they're in, determine the caseload of our ELL staff, and again, what's their capacity to translate in terms of time. And we want to also determine the number of Spanish-speaking staff members that we have at each building. So as we've now closed registration and our students are starting to get here, we will be able to collect that data. And then in October, we're going to actually assess the translating skills of our ELL staff. We found a company that does that because there are two ways to translate. One is to translate orally, and another is to translate in writing. And we want to make sure that our people have both skills. And then we're going to begin work on those priority documents. And if our capacity to translate in terms of workload for our people is not where we want it to be, we'll resume a discussion that we had last spring regarding a possible translator position. And then as we move into November and December, we want to work on the process for requesting documents to be translated and the process for getting a translator at school events or other district events. We'll translate our priority documents, and we'll start working on family access. And we're going to continue to work on implementing this plan and move forward and get it done according to the timeline.
Excellent. Any comments? November, December?
Well, the end timeline is through, like, by winter break. That's what we're hoping to have all of this work done before we go on break for the holidays.
Excellent. I do commend your team, Laura, for making this happen. And Mr. Cunningham, the Superintendent Cunningham, just passed the agenda over to me in Spanish. I know my headlights was getting a little dim, but I thought they were really getting dim. They're like, oh, but it's in Spanish, so good job.
Well, and I'll give Terry credit for that one because she went on board.
She never gets any credit. Could you please stand, Terry?
I'll comment, Laura. We certainly all were here, or most of us here, when our constituency base expressed the concern, as has been even going into the schools. People have shared that thought of premise and just not being able to communicate with, I experienced a young girl translating actually for her parents, so that her parents could understand the grading process. So it's very, very important. And it was funny because, you just have to trust that the little girl was saying what the teacher actually was telling her mom, wanted her mom to know. But I do commend you guys because, again, I know when we sat here, there was a measure of urgency in regard to this, and I hope we continue with that measure of urgency because, as I said to you privately and can share publicly, I can't imagine how when communication is laxed or there is the breakdown in any format, be it the inability to translate, that's a problem as far as a real live conversation and dialogue between those individuals. So I hope that we move with much zeal to continue the process and make sure that we, December is the drop dead date, that we can give some meaningful response and actually say, but these things that you guys have done were great. First and second steps, I guess I can say. First, second, and we're on our third step. So to have this process worked on with such expediency, and I think you said that we've updated the public comment piece, so I know you told me one time you and Natalie worked hand in hand along with Ms. Karina Elvan.
Correct.
So for all of you guys who participated in making sure that this happened, thanks.
And we did have one of our ELL teachers volunteered some time this
Awesome.
summer to help
Awesome.
us do that as well.
Thank you. And I heard it in Spanish on school on the message.
Again, thank you, Assistant Superintendent Laura Hurst. And I see this is a tentative timeline. If you firm it up, just communicate to our chair, Board Member Stockton, at minimum, okay? Thank you. Again, a good job. Saw the need, came up with an action plan, and you are working the plan. Okay, thank you. All right, moving on. If there's no further questions for Laura, we are going to go next to Assistant Superintendent Ms. Spence for Student Affairs.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm pleased to provide an update on registration. As of last Friday, August 15th, we have registered 4,035 returning students.
Wow.
Superintendent Cunningham is driving an attendance initiative this year, so having over 4,000 returning students who are already registered affords us an even greater potential of having 100% attendance on day one tomorrow, and then in turn increase ADA.
Wow. Good job. Good job.
I will say that, we just have an outstanding group of people working registration, from the secretaries to the supervisors. They really kicked butt this year, just getting out there and trying their hardest to get people in to register. We also received an overwhelming amount of positive feedback regarding this year's registration process. I know it was lengthy, but even with the length of time that was afforded to it, it was a struggle getting families in to register. Our goal is always to continue to improve the customer service we provide, so we plan to publish an online survey in the near future in order to collect additional comments, suggestions, and feedback from the community. And we already have quite a few things that we're planning to put in store to improve the process for next year. Okay?
And just to commend you, Mrs. Spence, we certainly, contrary to the year before, heard received any number of emails and massive phone calls at the board level concerning our previous years of registration process, the length and time. Want to commend you certainly for that process. I didn't get one email except for the one that said you guys did a really good job with the process, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll try.
Okay, well, there's a twofold thing, and we kind of pushed Mr. Cunningham button, so to speak, that we had to improve that process as far as getting our kids here. It's a twofold minimum that we're going to get a return on our investment as far as, the kids are here in school, we get that much more revenues from the state, and they can learn that much better. So I love what I'm hearing. Keep it going.
Thank you.
Okay, any further update? Okay.
The FOIA update.
All righty.
The following Freedom of Information requests have been received. The first one from Ms. Tammy Burnham. Ms. Burnham requested on 6/19/14 the total number of homeless students per school year from 2005 to 2006 until 2007-2008 school year. the total student enrollment by year from 2005 to 2006 school year until present, residency violation disenrollments from 2005 to 2006 school year until 2008-2009 school year, and how many per year were disenrolled. And lastly, confirmation of what year we employed a residency officer starting 2005-2006 school year to present. The status and electronic response was sent on July 9th, 2014, containing the above requested information. Our second one was from Ms. Tammy Burnham, an electronic request received on 6/19/14. The request was the total cost student for the 2013-2014 school year to educate a student at MEC, the Monee Education Center. The status of this request, an electronic response was sent on 7/23/2014, containing the above requested information. Our last FOIA request was from Mr. Patrick McCraney from the Better Government Association. Mr. McCraney's request was the names, titles, and salary of all district employees. The status of this request, an electronic response was sent on July 31st, 2014, containing the above requested information.
Okay.
Okay, I have one question on that. I think we just had a discussion earlier about MEC total cost and all the other schools' total cost, so I assume that that couldn't have been answered, right? Okay. You have something, am I incorrect on that?
I'm sorry, Mr. Troy, what was your question?
My question was the total cost per student for 2013-14 school year to educate a student at MEC. I think we just discussed the fact that we don't have all that information for the total cost. Is that correct?
Yes. We supplied Ms. Burnham with the information that is in the breakdown that I'm going to get, and that was sufficient for her.
That what you had? Or-
Yes.
Okay.
The information you requested was a little more detailed than that.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
And Mr. We had discussed, and I'm not sure if you were part of the dialogue, just based on the dates, the FOIA information, and particularly since it's a matter of a dialogue and concern, is there not still a way that, for example, the findings that you've just reported can be enlisted, because I'm sure it's not one person's question, and even if it's not another person's question, it's frequently asked information. Can it not merely just be posted onto the site for your information? Again, because especially the things that are brought here and asked, because I don't think it serves, in my opinion, for one person to get the information, especially if there's a question about it from the perspective of what's the truth, what's not, and we've been asked that, what's really going on or what have you. So is there not a way to publish it so that the word on the subject is that of what the district has actually stated to anyone? It's not any different than we would say to one person versus the other. Can it not be publicly replied back to? We are public via this live session, both of the live sessions, but certainly in writing for those who don't watch it. Is there not a way that we can make that happen finally?
I will come to the board with a process so that we'll have it so that the information will be available to those who forward the information, to the board members, and to the public. I will have that ready one of the board meetings for next month.
Yeah, and
Okay,
can we
it'll be set.
possibly look at the opportunity to bring it to maybe the policy committee?
Well, we
If we
discussed
wanna-
it already in policy. That's what
Okay.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
We need to.
Yeah, we'll bring it through policy. Policy
we're
will be
just
before the meeting, but yes.
firm it up
Yes. Yes,
before
sir.
we bring it to the full board.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It'll be enhanced.
Any further questions regarding the report out from our Student Affairs Assistant Superintendent? Is that it?
She's got one more.
Do you have one more?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. I do have a breakdown for the Monee Education Center. Again, this does not include some of the detailed information that Mr. Ture asked for. Just as a background for those who aren't aware, the Monee Education Center serves as the alternative learning environment for Crete Monee School District. Students are referred to MEC primarily for behavior-related offenses such as multiple suspensions, administrative transfer, truancy in lieu of expulsion, or expulsion re-enrollment into Crete Monee 201U. Additionally, MEC also offers a voluntary credit retrieval program known as THS. Students are enrolled at the alternative facility for a predetermined length of time or until specific goals are achieved. The information that I'm going to provide is based on data from the 2013-2014 school year, so last school year. Our total enrollment last school year was 78 students. The CAP program, which is Alternative Behavior Program for General Education, had 19 students. Our SPED program, which is Alternative Special Ed, is 21 students, or was 21 students. And then the credit retrieval program, known as THS, had a total of 38 students. So that was 78 students total. MEC employs a staff of 22. There is one coordinator who is an administrator, a supervisor who's an administrator, one full-time secretary, one part-time secretary, one SIBS attendant, which is basically an in-school suspension personnel, one head custodian, one social worker, 7 teachers, 2 teacher aides, 4 student support staff, 1 security officer, and 1 food service personnel. The MEC program expenses for the 2013-2014 school year, and this would include staff salaries, fees, and supplies. For a total of 78 students, our total cost last school year was $800,016,922. The cost to outsource students, and this is based on the 3 gen ed facilities we use, which are Country Club Hills Tech and Trade, Independence High School, and Budsman. The total cost to outsource these students for the 2013-2014 school year, and we had a total of 49 students, was $790,293. For Country Club Hills Tech and Trade, we had 28 students of a cost of approximately $538,000. Independence High School, we sent 16 students at a cost of approximately $235,000. In Budsman, 5 students at a cost of $16,000. And those are approximate numbers.
Okay, any questions for Assistant Superintendent Monica Smith?
And I'd just like you to send me the copy of that, okay? Please.
Send it to the entire board.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. If there's no further questions, we would like to move on.
Really quickly, because you were the administrator and have been or had been the administrator for many years at that school. And basically, if you've been around here enough, we understand that why the question is of what the numbers are. So let's just put that card on the table. I myself, I take full pride in having been a parent volunteer and a volunteer in the building and see the great success and the trends that you guys are making with a variety of students, not behavioral only. And again, they're all of our students, they're 201U students who may need some additional support as far as being in a smaller environment. Just, if you will, give your insight, if you will, publicly. What are the positives? We've heard this around the district before that substantiate the need for, and even if it's not at that building, the need for the different demographics of students that are placed in that building. and I'm not speaking with regard specifically to staff, but it's interesting to me that I thought 78, I didn't realize it was that small of a number, but given that you would infuse those students or potentially bring those students in, which I've met many of the students, I don't think it would be a crisis per se, but it's interesting when you have a smaller setting and the trend that these young people are making in changing their attitudes, their behaviors, because someone or these 7 or so teachers that are working in the transitional or credit retrieval, they're able to get a measure of specialized service to help them be able to matriculate back to the high school and be formidable students. I also sit on the speed board, and you mentioned independence. They don't see, there's not a lot of patience or, you know, that you guys show at the, I shouldn't say not lack patience, but what I mean to say is it's a gem I hear throughout other districts that we have such a place as MEC. Most schools have to offset by sending their kids elsewhere, which is a tremendous cost, as you indicated with those various months and speed. So just help me and our public understand what you saw as the administrator of that building for many years, the need and or the successes, if you will, that school merited.
Okay, thank you. You know, I often say that MEC is successful not because we're miracle workers. I mean, we really aren't. It's a combination of a smaller environment, and we have to admit there are some students who will simply fare better in a smaller environment. Being in a traditional environment with hundreds of kids does not work for everyone. At MEC, though we had a majority of our behavior students who were transferred over due to fights, last year alone, we had a half a physical altercation. And I call it a half of one because it really didn't even amount to much of anything. It was a verbal altercation where the students were posturing. That is unheard of for an alternative setting where the majority of students are there for fighting. It is simply you're afforded an opportunity to spend one-on-one time with the kids. We really focus on meeting the student where they are and then working with them to get them where they need to be. We are not miracle workers. We don't profess to change behavior, believe it or not. We work with the students to get them to understand how to conduct themselves within these walls. Just like when you go to a church service, you wouldn't clown and act a fool. Well, within a school building, you don't clown. It's simply taking the time, the patience, and because we have such small numbers, we're able to do that. In fairness to some of the other buildings, if you are a teacher and you have a classroom of 20 plus students, you simply can't provide that kind of one-on-one attention. That's I would say, our biggest thing that has enabled us to be successful. In addition, the credit retrieval program, it is a voluntary program. The students aren't forced to do it, or the parents, but it enables a student who knows that they are behind in credits to have an opportunity to come over to this setting, try to do the online courses and get caught up. It takes a lot of the pressure off of not just the student, but the high school as well.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we leave that point, one of the blessings that you have in this district is having MEC, because when you have those students and those needs that you have to meet and you don't have a program and you have to send them outside of your district, you have to pay through the nose for those prices. Just for those services. The other part about it is every year the state of Illinois has been prorating the amount of support that they give us for that. At the same time that they're prorating the amount of support that they give for those students, they are also increasing costs. They're promising those private organizations that we're sending them to more money. So every year when you have to send folks out of the district, more and more of your money is being taken away. It's more going out and the state sending in less. When you have a program where you can ameliorate those costs, you are taking good care of the district while you take wonderful care of your students. We are blessed. We need to keep our eyes on that program to keep it efficient as possible, but we should never think about letting it go. Otherwise, we're going to give away lots of money to those outside organizations.
Thank you. Thank you all that provided input to this particular line item. So thank you. Any other questions regarding this? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you again, Assistant Superintendent Ms. Spence. All right, moving along, we are at our business CEO, COB, or Chief Officer Business, Dr. Williams, with her report.
Good evening. Just a brief update for you on the 2014-15 school district budget. We have started to receive some preliminary information from the Illinois State Board of Education. As it relates to our general state aid, it looks like we anticipate losing $1.5 million due to the proration that is anticipated at 88%, roughly 89% for the year. As it relates to mandated categoricals, we've recently submitted for some of our reimbursement claims, including special education, transportation, things of that nature. So we should see our estimated allocations for those funds in the next few weeks. As required by law, public notice was issued last Thursday relating to our public hearing that we will have next month at the first board meeting of the month. We will have a public hearing and a presentation regarding the final budget that will be recommended to the board for approval. That concludes my report as it relates to the tentative budget.
Okay, thank you.
Before you leave that end of that report, please make sure that the public understands when you say we are losing. It's not like what has been happening before where the state has paid less and said we'll pay slow. What do you mean by losing?
I mean, we're actually losing. The state sets a certain amount that the districts are supposed to receive as the minimum amount required to educate a student. That amount has been $6,119 for the past 3 years. The state is unable to meet its financial obligation to all districts, so all districts will receive a prorated amount of what they are actually entitled to by law. In our district, that will amount to roughly $1.5 million for the 2014-15 school year, and just as a point of reference, last year we lost $1.1 million. It was prorated at 89% last year. I believe the year before that it was prorated at 95%. And that again impacts all school districts. So as I stated, we will lose roughly $1.5 million this year alone as a result of the state's inability to meet its financial obligations to Illinois school districts.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And we are, I would just like to say, we are in our finance committee really trying to find avenues to obtain more revenues in different capacities. So, and I again commend your leadership, Doctor, I'm calling you Doctor, but Mr. Cunningham, Superintendent Cunningham, for, I've seen it already in fruition. It's happening, it's in place, trying to do things to bring in more revenues to the district. So keep up the good work.
I just want to say one final, no, I'm not going to say final, but anyways, last Thursday I met along with a couple of other board members throughout the south suburbs and with Congresswoman Robin Kelly. And interestingly enough, she made the comment to us because we came there with a lot of issues from our various districts, or at least concerns, one of which, of course, was the hot subject of Common Core and, of course, the financing of school districts, business in general. And one of the things that was conceded, her being our one of our representatives, is that, 5 or 6 members of, people you elect us to ask these guys, to do the work of the school district, but we also have to go to our federal, state, as I can sure my colleague Mr. Toure could concur, to have the dialogue with them, let them know in numbers. It makes not a lot of difference that Board Member Sanders came from Crete and said we need X, Y, Z, or there needs to be more discussion about Common Core, but that a constituency in large numbers are coming out to speak on that behalf. So there was a lobbyist there as well. I received her information, and she did say that there are trips that are being convened to Springfield as well, and we know we're in election year, so to Springfield as well as to D.C. for individuals who'd like to come out and express their voice in regard to these topics that alter and because sometimes people don't understand the decisions of a board, be it finance, be it personnel. Some things you're relegated to do, and some things you have to, tweak the process to enable a fluidity that would allow for the district to operate in a financial or fiduciarily responsible way. So I just encourage you, as having spoken with her directly, that she wants to hear from us. She's one of those, the very few, if you call her, she will actually listen and set up an appointment. So she is one of our representatives. Let's make her phone ring, and let's get on the bus to Springfield and wherever else we need to go to help this process at the local level become a better process for all that works for us in our various school districts. So please call her.
Okay. Any further questions?
These are, just a comment, these are pre-election numbers. Tom, I just asked Tom about that. So remember that in November, especially you and the public. Remember all these fine folks that are shorting us $1 million point something because the state can't make their payment. You have the power of the ballot. Please exercise your right to vote, and please vote.
Okay. Thank you for the comment. And if there's no further comment under the administrative update, I would like a motion.
She's got a couple more reports.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Stop me.
I'd just
I
like
know
to
I'm trying
provide
to speed this up, but this stop me.
just a quick update on the special education out-of-district transportation request for proposal. You may recall at our meeting on August 6th, we discussed years of the past. In the past, we've used between 5 and 10 vendors to provide our special education out-of-district transportation. That's transportation for those students that aren't serviced in district. This year, we are requesting proposals so that one vendor can provide that service to improve consistency with the level of service and hopefully to create some competition as it relates to the pricing. The specifications were revised and put out for public use on Friday, August 15th. They're also available on our website, and I'm pleased to report that we've already had 2 companies request those specifications. Public notice was issued in the paper on Friday, and a mandatory meeting is scheduled for August 26th to review the specifications with those vendors that did request specifications, and we will have a public hearing on September 2nd. So at the September board meeting, I will be bringing a recommendation regarding special education out-of-district transportation to the board.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, and as we discussed in the finance meeting, the current company will be continuing so we don't have lose any continuity and all these kids get to the right place. Correct?
One of the current vendors will be providing transportation in the interim in an effort to provide some consistency for our students, yes.
Right, thank you.
And just to further comment on that, that particular company will not do any type of illegal, by accepting that company, that is not anything illegal on our part, like on single source.
That company was already one of the companies that was providing our services.
Mm-hmm.
So we already had an agreement with them, and we did consult our legal counsel before we moved forward. So everything is definitely in order as it relates to providing that service.
Okay, I just wanted that to come out in a public setting. Okay, thank you. Any further comments on that particular issue?
Oh.
I know she has one more. I see that, the financial report, so. All righty, go ahead, Doc.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to bring to your attention, you may notice a slight difference in the way your financial reports look. We've added some summary level reports to kind of I guess, draw a clear path to the detailed reports that you receive, since oftentimes your financial reports are 50 pages or more. We did add a couple of summary level reports, so I just wanted to bring that to your attention for your future use.
So you're going to continue to water the tree?
I've been watering that money tree in the backyard since July 1st. I'll just keep watering it.
All righty, then.
Thank you.
Okay, that should, and if there's no other questions for our business manager, we're going to move forward. Is there a reason for a closed session?
None here.
Okay, we have a business meeting. I'm not sure what that's for. That should not be here. Okay. All righty. I would like a motion to approve the consent agenda. Moved.
Second.
Moved by Heisel, second by Lori Stockton. Lori Stockton. Any comments?
Put your microphone on.
Hear me?
There you go. No, it's off.
I'm sorry, that was moved by Heisel, second by Board Member Stockton. We have any comments? If not, Madam Secretary, please take roll call.
Mr. Teray? Mrs. Stockton?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Heisel?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
And Secretary Zai.
Motion passed. You know, there was a donation, looked like it was wine donation under that consent. And that letter of donation, it was to the Lakeshore Company, and it was from Kelly, if I'm pronouncing this right, Chester, the director of Crete Monee Early Learning Center. And it reads, "Thank you so much for donating the $500 outdoor educational kit from Lakeshore for our students at the Crete Monee Early Learning Center in Crete, Illinois. We have developed a good business relationship with RT Vaghasia, if I'm pronouncing that right, a regional manager of Lakeshore that has aided in purchasing developmental appropriate materials to meet the needs of all students and enhance their skills in alignment to the state standards / Common Core. RT has been extremely helpful and knowledgeable in this process of ordering Lakeshore materials. We appreciate your thoughtfulness and generosity towards our program and students. We look forward to the continual support from Lakeshore to enhance the learning opportunities for the students at the Early Learning Center." Okay. Next thing on the agenda is action report. And I would like a motion to approve under curriculum, the district calendar revision.
Moved.
Moved by Heisel,
Second.
second by Teray. Any comments?
Sure.
We don't really have much choice on it. The state
We don't,
changes testing
but I
days.
think
We
it's,
got to do
I
it.
think it's worthy of an explanation
Okay.
here.
Well, please explain the
in-
curriculum.
In July, late July, we received an assessment document from the Illinois State Board of Education that outlined their expectations for high school testing for this now current school year, 2014-2015. In the document, there were some significant changes to what the state had previously told us would be the assessment plan. And that plan not only changes what we need to do as a district, but it also impacts our district calendar, our school calendar. What's different is that not all of our high school students will take the new park assessment as was previously told to us. By federal law, the state needs to test at grades 3 through 8 and once at high school. But what the state was telling us last year was that they were going to test students at grades 9, 10, and 11. And now they're saying, no, we're only going to do it in a certain way. The park assessment will only be given to students who are enrolled in English 3 and Algebra 2, which is basically our juniors and some sophomores who would be enrolled in Algebra 2. These assessments as you can see, are a little bit different. It's not by grade level, it's by course enrollment. So that's a change for high school testing under Park. These tests are end-of-course assessments, and they are the new state accountability tests. They also, because there was quite a bit of backlash from districts around the state not funding the ACT test. So what the state has decided to do is pay for the ACT and the Work Keys test for our juniors for this year. It's entirely a voluntary thing on the part of districts, and the tests are not going to be an accountability test. So Park will be the accountability test, but they're still going to fund the ACT and the Work Keys. Unlike PSAE, where we had to give both ACT and Work Keys, and those together created the PSAE assessment, these two tests are not tied together anymore. So we have the option of not giving any of them, giving one, or giving both. The date for the ACT that the state is paying for is March 3rd. Our district calendar has an institute day scheduled for March 3rd. The date for the Work Keys is March 4th. We're back in school on that day. And the other thing that changes for this is that our spring testing used to be on our 2 PSAE days at the high school, and we would test our juniors both days, and then one day freshmen would come in and do their spring testing, and the sophomores would come in the next day. Right now, we only have one half day scheduled in April, and we can accommodate our 9th and our 10th graders on that day and have our normal spring testing. So we've had some discussion. I've talked to our South Suburban Curriculum Directors Group to kind of see what everybody's doing, and basically the consensus is that everybody is giving the ACT test. It is an opportunity for juniors to take that test at no cost to them, which we want them to have that opportunity. And it also is data that we've been keeping for many, many years, and to not test eliminates our trend data on how our students are doing and being ready to go to college. So the recommendations that I'm making tonight for a change to the district calendar tried to make the changes as having as minimal impact as possible. But the recommendation is to move the trimester for our K-5 schools, move that date from the 27th of February back 1 week to the 20th of February. That's where it was last year. And that would be a half day, as it always is at the end of a grading period. We would then like to make February 26th, return it to a full day of school, so that week, the 26th and 27th, then become full days of school, and we have a full week of school that week. We would move the Institute Day from March 3rd, so our students, we want to be in session on March 3rd, move that day to the day following President's Day in February, which is February 17th. That's when we have typically had our Institute Day, but last year when we developed the calendar, we were trying to minimize the disruptions between winter break and state testing, and we made some changes. But if we move it back to February 17th, that's where it's always been. And then we would make March 3rd a full day of school for all of our students except the high school, which would be a half day for them for 11th grade only to come and take the ACT. And then on the April 29th in the spring, we would make that half day for the high school only, a 9th and 10th grade testing day, and our 11th and 12th graders would not attend school that day. So that's the proposed calendar that you have. And this is highly unusual. I know we try and get the calendar done early, but we really need to take advantage of this opportunity for our students to take the test.
And Laura, had you been aware of what the state was doing, you would have brought that calendar to the board long before. These changes are necessitated because of a change in the state's requirements and what they would pay for, correct?
Correct. We were notified, it was about the 3rd week of July that this was going to happen.
I guess I just have one question, Laura. On the ACT, is it optional? Can they opt out of taking it?
No, if we, as a district, we make a decision to give the ACT, then they all take the ACT.
Okay. And the special needs, what about special needs?
Same thing. They would get accommodations for that.
They get accommodations,
just as they have in
okay.
the past.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I believe it's a good college readiness assessment, and to continue to have our students take the ACT is very prudent. So, alrighty, any further discussion, any questions? Laura gave us a mouthful there, but everything is right there in front of us. If you are on page 32 or 45 under recommendations, you could have followed what she was recommending. So if there's no questions or any further comments, Madam Secretary, can we have a roll call, please?
Okay, Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Heisel?
Aye.
Mrs. Stockton? And Mr. Toure? Mr. Toure?
Aye.
And the Secretary's aye.
Okay, action report, motion passed. The next item for an action report is under the Business Department, fireworks display
Yeah.
for the homecoming
Yes.
this year.
Yes.
Alrighty.
For the second year in a row, we are recommending a fireworks display at the high school for the homecoming football game to be held on September 19th. Included in your packet is the actual recommendation and an agreement. And I'd like to point out a couple of things about the agreement. The agreement requires $5 million in liability insurance. The agreement requires that the vendor secure permits, register with the U.S. Department of Transportation as it relates to disposing of the hazmat material that might be created as a result of the fireworks display. It includes cleanup. It includes them returning the day after the display to ensure that everything is cleaned up under natural daylight, because of course the game will occur at night. And it also includes security at the perimeter. So they will have security staff at the perimeter to ensure that none of the visitors attending the game are able to access that area. So with that, we do recommend that the Board of Education authorize this fireworks display.
I just have one problem. Does it include us winning the game?
I can't guarantee that, but I will be screaming very loud from the secure area.
I mean, the last year, that was the first time we did it, and that was the first game we lost in like 2 years.
Well, we got that one out of the way early. So.
Okay.
Okay. Bill's in the audience,
Oh.
so you know what?
Oh.
We'll hold him accountable.
Going back to, you have for the certificate of insurance, for the minimum, you have here general liability, $1,000 per occurrence, and $1 million per occurrence, and $2 million general aggregate.
Mm-hmm.
And you say $5 million?
But the actual contract that is included in the packet requires $5 million in liability insurance, yes.
Okay.
Would it be all right if we would have our new Booster Club president come up and just introduce himself?
No problem.
Come on up. He's also the fireworks man.
Oh, he's Booster Club?
Yeah.
So if
We
you,
got a new
if you don't
Booster
like
Club
the
president?
fireworks, we can all blame Bill.
But I must say, the fireworks were excellent last year.
Yes.
Awesome.
Before I say anything, I just want to welcome Mr. Cunningham. Thanks to the school district. I look forward to working with you for at least the next 4 years. The fireworks were good. I wish we pulled out a win. I agree. We hadn't lost, and I think it was 2 years. So
Yeah.
it was a shock, but when the game was over, the maintenance turned off the lights, and we shot.
We still
for-
went out with a bang.
You still
That's
went
right, we
out
did. Respectfully, which was really nice, is Monee Academy and our coach, both teams stayed on the field for the display. So it was really nice. If you have any questions. And yes, Steve Johnson was the former booster president, and he did that for 8 years. And now I'm the new elected booster president, so I'm going to be here for at least 4 years.
Welcome
Okay,
aboard.
welcome
Thank you.
aboard. You have a very pleasant attitude. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do you guys have any questions?
No, let's.
It's going to be, it's the exact same thing as last year. Meet with the fire marshal, he'll issue the permit, everything will be good. We rope it off, we have caution tape, so we protect the area. And same thing.
You know, if we are losing a game, can you let one out and scare the opponent or something?
I will tell you this. I did ask if we score.
Yeah.
We scored last year.
Yeah.
And then I asked it at the beginning of the game, and they said that it's a IHSA rule, you cannot do that.
Oh, you cannot do
So, but I did ask that last year.
Okay.
No
Like
fear.
minds think alike. Thank you so
Thank you
much,
very
and I
much.
wish you well in your new position.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Were you finished? Okay, go ahead. Okay, do we have any further comments on the fireworks initiative? Yeah, firework display approval. If not, Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
We didn't do
a motion.
We need
Oh,
a
we didn't
motion.
have a motion. How do we have a?
I
okay.
move
Okay.
to approve.
Usually we comment
Second.
after the motion, so somehow it slipped past me.
Okay.
Okay, so we got, first of all, let me do it officially. Have a motion to approve the fireworks
Move.
for the homecoming. Moved by Mary,
Seconded.
second by Kim.
Sanders. Okay. All right, so Mr. Teray,
Aye.
Mrs. Stockton,
Aye.
Mr. Heisel,
Aye.
and Mr. Brown,
Aye.
and Secretary Zai.
Motion carried. All right. Okay. Any old business?
Actually, I want to bring something up. I would like the board to consider meeting again and talking about what we're going to do with the athletic fields. We talked about it several months ago, and it kind of went by the wayside.
What we're going to do with what, Mike? I'm sorry.
About with the athletic fields and what our plan is. We had a discussion several months ago about updating the athletic fields and possibly putting artificial turf, and you know, I know it's all tied into the facilities plan, but I would like to have at least resurrect that at a future meeting and talk a little further in detail about it while we're talking about what we're going to do.
Yeah, Mike, I'm looking to, at our next finance meeting, to have a pretty lengthy discussion on moving forward with the facilities and all of that, and we can bundle that particular item within those conversations.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Any further old business?
Oh, let me say that it was mentioned yesterday in the opening day. We need to revisit, probably with our next policy discussion, how we'll handle memorials to bring a conclusion to that process. So last year we had 2 students who lost their lives tragically, and we've actually had some staff members who've, you know, died as well, unfortunately. So there has been discussions and some inquiry about memorials, not necessarily, from my understanding, it was just brought to me about the students, but most recently, staff member inquiry for that. So if we could decide to have some further discussion and a finality to that dialogue. I know we worked on the policy. I don't know, I'm thinking that, you know, just with the transitional piece, maybe we need to just make that a part of immediate further discussion.
Yeah, let's resurrect that, bring that back up at the policy, and bring it to the next board for some type of approval to move forward, because I think it's imperative that we move forward with that particular matter. Okay, any additional old business? New business? We still got old business? Any new business? Calendar?
Wait, Mary, new business?
What's, I thought this, for the committee. I think we need to come up with some committee dates, do we not?
They're all in the calendar.
Okay,
we
well,
gotta
they're on the
just-
calendar. Are they tentative, or you need us to agree to these?
Let's go through one at a time here. And see.
I'll get it started real
Okay.
quickly. I made up a calendar. We worked on having dates set for every month. August was already really set, and we tried to come up with a pattern so that I could have our administrators who were involved in those committees ready every time. Now, we could change them as necessary. We could even move some things around if there were a committee or two that the days didn't fit. I just needed a process for us to have when we're going to have our committee dates. So if you're on policy and you didn't really want to be on Thursday, or the first Thursday of that meeting, I think that's where, no, I'm sorry. Policy is the the second Tuesday. If you didn't like the second Tuesday of the month and you would like to trade with somebody, we could work that out. What I'm looking for, though, is for us to have a set calendar. And of course, we could cancel if we didn't have anything necessary for the meeting, but we need a set calendar so we can all be prepared. And I wanted to make sure I brought that to the board so they could take a good look at it and then have discussion.
As they say in church, amen.
Yeah, I think that's good. It kind of put something out there. We become very religious up here. I think this is good. You know, it's a kickstart. It's something here, and it's a living document, if I must say. And I'll just spill them out. So the committee meetings, the educational committee meetings, is to meet on the second Thursday of the month. The finance committee meeting is to meet on the first Tuesday of the month. The personnel meeting or committee meeting is to be on the first Thursday of the month. And the policy committee meeting is to be on the second Tuesday of the month. The only thing we do not have is times. We need to get some times documented.
I'll be glad to document times and send them out to the board so that we can get set. I didn't want to put out any times until you guys had a discussion.
But it can be some
about what we
conflicts
do.
with some board members and
Yes.
things like that.
Yes.
Well, is it fair to say right now, the Ed Committee meeting, we're going to have that, and we don't have to give a time specifically, but we can put it in the evening time? Put it like this.
Ed committee,
Oh, that's what I'm saying. All the,
policy,
except the personnel.
Personnel
Usually
is
the
usually
personnel
in the
usually go in the
morning.
daytime.
Okay.
Okay, so you can throw it out.
I'll just set them the way that they've been
Look at the
put out there,
timeframes.
and we'll put the timeframes out, and we'll get that sent out to the board as quickly
Okay.
as possible.
And then we got the board meetings. Obviously, it's the third Tuesday of the month, special board meeting as needed. Vacation days, veteran days, Thanksgiving, Christmas, spring breaks. Not for board members.
I will say, just for consideration, Mr. Cunningham, now that we have the new policy setting, at least for the way we're planning to present it, it's very possible, just based on my schedule, that I could meet in the mornings for the policy.
Okay.
And so, because whatever we discuss anyway is going to be in the first read, so it should ease that having to be in the evening per se.
I like that.
Okay, I just want to add just a couple more things real quick here, because we are on the roll to finish this meeting by 9 o'clock. That could be a record. It just behooves us, board members, if we could make it out first day of school, I believe it's tomorrow. If we can attend, maybe go and reach out to the school, show our face over the next week, I think that would do some justice. And high school curriculum night, do we know that date?
September 3rd.
September 3rd, per the calendar? Okay. Sorry, Laura. September 3rd. Somebody's listening over there. Thank you. And the last item is, I think this was, at least it was conveyed to me to be a success, and that is the school messenger. Expectations from board members to continue on participating in that. So if we can continue, I believe messages is going to be forwarded to us at certain times, and we take the opportunity to address those messages and convey those messages to the public. And that is all I have. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved. Second.
Moved by Heisel, second by Mary. All one vote. Any
Aye.
ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Meeting adjourned. Thank you. I need to sign. I need to sign.